Hello, myself Sunil Rambler. Basically, we are discussing one other topic that is city creation. In city creation, basically, we are discussing one other topic that is future creation. And in this India account, SBI account, Amazon account, and after 2 days, basically, the earthquake is going to happen in India. Big earthquake, basically. So, in this, basically, we are discussing about the lava topic. That is the topic, basically, which we are discussing. In that, basically, we discuss lots of things. In this, basically, we discuss that 100 crore child is going to happen. That 100 crore child basically is going to allocate to certain level of bodies. So all death basically are connected with this lava data. So the software company is designing the death data also. So one of the person basically asked the question. Software company knows that basically that they have designed the death data. They have designed the death data that they know, or basically this is basically done by some other company, sorry, some other group basically, that is a satellite group basically. That is the satellite group. So that might be possible that basically it might have designed also. Possibilities are there basically, we can't say 100. For example, Microsoft Bill Gates basically had 1 lakh condition. In 1 lakh condition, he has kept all alternative. One condition it will also basically work, but he has kept 1 lakh option. 1 lakh option means if that will not work, then that will work. If this will not work, then all basically is not going to work at one time. That is going to happen basically. Then it will be the end of Microsoft basically. But that will mostly basically will not happen. Why? Because Microsoft is Microsoft basically. He also basically might have kept lots of things basically. That if anything will happen to Microsoft, then see basically what are the things going to happen. So that are also basically there basically. So we are not going up to that level basically, but universe group is going to check each and everything basically. So Microsoft have to be ready for that basically. In future basically, they are going to check this also basically. If Microsoft will not exist, then what are the things going to happen, that they are basically going to check. But after basically everything is created, so lots of people says that go slowly. That is also thing. But if target will come, then basically you can't go slow also. That is also there. So each and every group basically are handled by set of group basically. Handled by set of groups. So here one of the person told that basically the 100 crore basically the child is going to happen. For that basically they are searching father and mother basically. Actually they are searching father and mother basically. You will not able to believe that basically. So for example, they picked one person. They picked one person. That one person basically checked. One person basically the condition basically is like this. The 100,000 crore basically is going to check each and every people basically. Each and every people basically they are going to check what the condition basically which is dumped into the 100 crore child, who is going to set. So one of the person basically asked the question, what is the easiest way basically? Then one person told that 100 crore basically condition is there. 100, sorry, in 1000 crore, sorry, 100 crore child basically is going to generate. So for that basically they are going to check the condition which basically data is going to suit. Here basically which data is going to suit, that is the condition, right? So assume that basically they picked a one, two, three, like this basically 190 crore Indian nationality basically exist in this world basically. So they are going to scan to 190 crore. So 190 crore multiplied by 100 crore. So this many time basically the condition is going to be checked. So one person basically asked the question basically how many time basically it might be taking basically. That is also a question basically. This will take just within 1 or 2 seconds basically. But in detail checking basically they takes time basically. So that is basically different topic. But major thing basically they checks within 1 or 2 seconds only basically. Whatever the major things basically are there, he basically checks just within 1 or 2 seconds only. So major thing basically they basically checks it. So one of the person basically asked the question. Earth planet basically knows basically this type of checking basically. I will take one example. For example, you are checking the blood cells. When one person basically is checking the blood cells, or basically we will take another example. One person basically is checking the blood cells, as in that basically. So in that his blood cells basically, that data basically is going to come. The universe group basically whatever things basically are there checking, that data basically it's going to come or it's not going to come basically. That is also question basically. So lots of people says that that is the future creation. Mostly basically that will not come. But few people says that that will come basically. Because there are many things basically which are connected with the Earth planet creation also. Earth planet. So future construction data basically that is equal to future blood cells data that they are preparing basically. That this 100 crore child is going to happen. For that basically construction areas basically which is getting prepared with. So you can just imagine basically. So both side basically are there. It might be and it might not be. So in simple language basically if you will say if entire world will also end na, entire world will also end, then also this 100 crore child is going to happen. They will basically create it basically. But world basically they will not end. Why? Because they have to do again rework basically. They have to do entire rework again. So mostly basically they will not do. So lots of people says that yeah, dunya to today basically world will end. But that is not possible. Why? Because rework basically who is going to do the rework basically? That also universe group basically will never do the rework. So mostly world basically if it's getting in trouble basically that would be due to Earth planet people only basically. They are only basically going to be. So one person basically asked the question if universe group basically will say that basically our task is over basically, then what they are going to do? That is also a question basically. Our task is over. Now next level task basically is going to happen. So next level task basically happens without ending the world or basically by ending the world. Because mostly basically but lots of time basically the 102 time basically world has ended. So why that was ended? That is also question. And all ideas basically and entire education system of the world basically is connected with the 102 ideas 102 time world ended ideas that are the construction department basically that is the construction areas. So here one person basically asked the question this BCom basically subject basically which is created by the set of groups that is the education department, it came basically from which idea? Sorry, which time world ended? One time, first time, second time, third time, like this basically 100 time or basically 102 time. Which 102 time world ended? But from this 1 to 102 time world ended, from which energy basically this become subject generated? Like this BSc, MSc, MTech, BTech. So there is no answer basically of this, even basically to the software industry. Software industry also basically don't have it. So here basically we have talked about this long before basically. So we are not talking this again basically. But software basically does not exist. So software need to prepare basically. Software need to prepare basically. Then basically one of the person asked the question. Software basically are getting prepared. So is anything basically going to happen to the world basically? Because if you are preparing any of the software basically, it is going to process to the computer. And computers basically are connected with the physical place. For example, IBM equal to IBM computer is created by thousand cities. Dell computer is created by thousand cities. Compaq computer is created by thousand cities. Then HP computer is created by thousand cities. So anything is going to affect basically, or basically the computers basically which are created, that are created on the base of certain level of projects which is going to come. If unexpected project will come, that is never expected, for example this project, so where they are basically going to do the process, because mostly computers basically which are created, that are created on the base of going to come project, mostly basically, not basically 98% and 100% basically. The computers basically which are created, that are basically created on the base of projects going to come, but this is unexpected project. So what you are going to do? And this basically is the most important project basically, because in future basically if universe group will ask the TCS group is, because TCS is the number one company, where is this data basically, you have this data but there is no data basically. Then basically few people says that basically paisa bhi chahiye na, that is also correct basically, because each and every things basically you do, that requires money basically. Without money basically, in earth planet basically you can't survive basically. For example, one person basically is not, for example I am not having job basically, so I can survive without job basically, that is not possible basically, that is not possible basically. So without job basically, without money basically, that is not possible. So project creation basically is okay basically, but before project basically few people says that the each and every computer basically which are created basically, that are designed basically, that are designed on the base of future projects basically which is going to be created basically, going to create basically by the set of software companies basically. Then how basically the software company gets the project, that basically we have already discussed. But mostly basically here basically the whatever computer basically are created, that are created on the base of projects going to come. So here basically 1 lakh project basically which has created, so their computers basically are already created, and that computers basically are connected with the physical place, and that physical place basically are doing to do some certain level of process. It's going to generate 10 crore projects. 10 crore projects basically connected to lava. That is the child process basically, process started, child creation process started. So here one of the person basically asked the question, the computer basically on the base of which the project was created, as in that basically thousand cities, if the lava data basically is getting processed, so that is going to connect to the physical place, or basically it is not going to connect, or basically the satellite groups are directly going to connect it basically. Satellite group basically are going to connect to data basically. So that is also basically very dangerous question. So one person basically asked the question, for example currently basically which project is ongoing basically, as in that basically currently child process basically are ongoing. Whatever child process, for example one newly couple basically got marriage, they basically is going to get the birth. So this type of process basically is done from which from which lava basically data, that power data is coming, that is one thing. And then basically on the base of which computer it was created, and that computer is connected with the which physical locations. If that physical location basically will not exist, anything is going to happen basically, because lava group basically are connected with the satellite group basically, and satellite group basically checks each and everything long before only basically. When the project starts basically, when the computers are created, that time only basically they checks everything basically, so that in future basically the physical place also will end, then also their task basically are done. So they basically never keep the dependency. They basically never keeps the dependency. They basically never keeps the dependency. So dependency is not there basically with the universe group. Dependency is not with there with the universe group. So one of the person told that whatever project basically you are doing, for that basically computers are already prepared. But what about those project basically whose there is no idea for that basically. There is no idea basically in the environment basically which is generated by set of groups, and that idea basically came from 102 time world ended, all software companies that they are basically doing the process in the environment, then the human brains basically, that is the software company's brain basically, they are thinking. So this all basically mixed to basically one idea basically, and that idea basically is a new idea basically. So that new idea basically don't have the physical place because it's not coming from the physical place. It's coming from these all areas basically. That is 102 time world ended. Then the all the software companies energies basically are connected with each other. Then the human brains basically they are thinking, that are the software universe software industry basically groups are thinking. So that data basically are coming from there. It's not coming from the physical place. So here basically what are the things basically going to happen? Here basically satellite group also basically can't track. Why? Because if we will they will track. So it might possible that that person basically who is thinking, that person's body basically might get damaged. That person's body basically might get damaged. And mostly basically his head also basically will get damaged. Because if they are trying to connect basically, that how basically he got this idea. So like that basically they try to extract few data. At that time basically it might possible his head also basically might get damaged because satellite groups are taking the data. So it's very dangerous. So it might possible their hand, their head, their eye also basically might get damaged. So lots of people says that for that basically they have prepared mobiles, they have prepared computers, they have prepared power companies. From that only basically they takes the data. They basically don't take directly data. Previously it was direct data, but nowadays basically they are taking. For example, this is mobile. If universe group basically want to take data of myself, so they will take data from this mobile. They will connect to this mobile and then basically they will take. They will not take directly basically. Or basically I am drinking this water. So whatever data basically this water basically is having, from that water basically they will be taking the data. So you can just imagine basically up to what level the things are basically connected. So one person basically told that whatever project basically you are doing basically, that for that basically the computers are already prepared. And for new ideas, if that basically clicks in the environment, then basically they prepares the new areas. But mostly basically each and every world basically has created this way only basically. Previously there was any BCom, BSc was not there, MCom was not there. Like this each and every subject basically are created basically. Slowly they have created the entire education sector basically. So the entire education sector is also created. Entire education sector is also basically created. So one person basically asked the question, do you have the data of entire education sector? Then there was no answer. Why? Because there is no database only basically which contains this data basically. If they will create the database, then it is going to process, and that will is very very dangerous basically, because lots of people says that project creation basically is not an issue basically. It will create just within a second. Nowadays basically the chat GPT is also there. From there basically you get a lots of code. You get sometime projects also basically, but that basically very, because That is ChatGPT. So nowadays basically you get code also basically from easily basically from ChatGPT. That basically was getting in Google also basically. That was not new basically. Lots of people says that Google has created ChatGPT, and ChatGPT they have given name as a AI. So in future basically if they want to convert Google as a AI, so first they are basically doing the R&D in ChatGPT. If that will get success, then only basically they are going to implement to Google. So that's basically their thinking basically. Like this, one of the person basically told that how many products basically are going off Google basically. After that, basically R&D basically they are going to implement to Google directly. So that is also basically question. Basically. So here basically we are not discussing that basically because that is very high-fi company basically that we are not discussing. So here one of the person basically told that the projects basically which is going to create for that computers are already prepared. So up to what level basically the computers are prepared basically because according to the projects the computers are prepared. So computers are equal to what? Physical places. So one person basically asked the question, whatever project basically you are, for example, one CRM project you are going to prepare. That CRM project is connected with this computer, and that computer is connected with that physical place. So by default, that CRM project which is going to connect to that physical place. That is by default. Now, basically, you are deploying the project where basically. So one person basically asked the question, India basically, whatever the Google basically is doing basically, that is basically so that means Google basically know lots of things basically. That also you can say. Why? Because Google is telling that basically you can deploy your software in this server only. Other than server basically you can't deploy. Why? Because he knows this everything basically. Just now basically we had discussed that basically Google knows everything basically. Google knows everything basically. So one of the person basically asked the question, Google knows up to what level basically? Because if he knows that basically within India basically these all projects basically are going and that are going to be deployed in these all servers, and in the Google basically search engine basically no other server basically comes. That means Google knows that this is lots of people says that they basically are the set of countries basically which are connected. So that is might be also basically, but up to what level the things basically are connected because currently war is ongoing. So up to what level the Google basically knows, that is also question basically because that's very dangerous. That's very sensitive basically, and this connects to the India security system basically. That because Google know that these all are the softwares ongoing and it is going to deploy in this server only, and that server is connected with the physical location. So physical location data Google knows. So that is connecting directly to the security issue of the India basically. And in future basically it might possible somebody might hijack Google group basically and they might take data from Google basically that tell this, tell that, tell this, tell that, tell this, tell that. That is possible basically. But that basically is the India security group basically. They might have prepared long before everything basically. They also might have prepared long before basically because lots of people says that Google owner is also basically Gujarati, and Gujarati basically is Gujarat basically. So there is no issue basically. He is going to be come back to Gujarat only because he is Gujarati. So you can just imagine basically the planning basically. So lots of people says that any software basically which prepares basically any small software also because you can't say basically that Google basically started from just one single page basically. Just one from single page basically he started, and after that basically started basically dumping the data. Then basically it has become up to this level. So you can just imagine basically. This is just example of Google basically. So here basically it's 10 crore projects and it's going to create 100 crore child. And that 100 crore child is going to scan to the 190 crore people basically, which is going to suit and which will not suit. That basically they try to basically adjust basically. Because to prepare anything basically it's very dangerous. That's why basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.